Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Art of Awesomeness podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Kiswani, accompanied today by our also host, Christian Caito. Welcome, Christian.
Hi.
That was good. That was
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
So we did an interview with David and Neil from Among Wolves, which you can find them on Spotify.
David and Neil, thanks to one of our biggest fans, one of our closest fans that we are pretty close to,
kid.
Miss Sophie
Coronel.
She knows them from their church, and after getting to watch our episodes for a while, she thought that we might kind of have a good time getting to know them.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what we did. So we just actually asked a few
went on
questions.
for almost 2 hours.
Probably
almost,
our longest podcast, and then Angelo, and then the rest.
Yeah,
but we just got to know them. Essentially, is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
and we just essentially got to know them,
guys.
We just got to know them a little bit. You can check out their podcasts and I think
All
other
the
podcasts and all the links.
linkies.
I think we reference an episode. If we do, that'll be down there as well. But essentially, they're really cool guys, and we had a really good time just getting to know them. So thank you to David and Neil, and thank you to Sophie for introducing us. And
so, with that,
here's
enjoy
our
the
interview,
show.
and we'll see you guys after.
So we're just gonna start this off.
Yeah.
Happy National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day.
Beef and cabbage.
That's
day.
a thing.
That makes sense.
Obviously St. Patrick's Day and the
There's
National
SBDC
Day,
which is, for those of you who don't know, it stands for
Small Business Development Centers Day.
So if you have a small business,
like a podcast or so.
Like a podcast.
Yeah.
With sponsored by.
So it's our day,
Levox.
guys.
Hey, that's quite appropriate.
Yeah. So those are the national days.
Yeah,
we're glad to get started.
Yeah. Now that we're recording, we just want to thank you guys for coming on, and we're definitely going to be doing your podcast or recording for you guys next week.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Should be
So
fun.
looking
And everything
forward
will
to
be
that.
down below to check out David and Neil and their podcast Among Wolves, which we'll get into a little bit more in a few minutes. But we just wanted to open up with the national days. Anything else, Adrian, before we?
That's the first order of business out of the way. So
Sweet.
now I
Okay.
guess we're just going to go into the basic questions, which we already kind of talked to you guys, obviously, in the Zoom we did with Sophie, but obviously no one else heard that. So how did you guys sort of go about starting the podcast, and what sort of drew you to starting one in the first place? Like, what's
Yeah, everybody wants from your successful podcast. We want to know because you guys,
with millions of listeners a month.
Compared to ours, like it's skyrocketing, and so we just want to know how it even started in the first place.
Neil, you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
Well, you're the one who started it all.
And I made you do it.
Yeah, you played on my vanity.
I sure did. Go ahead. You begin the story.
No, well, you start it because you.
All right, I'll start it because it's my story.
Okay. All right.
So basically, here's what happened was. So Neil and I are both guys in our ages, and and we do ministry at the church, and we started to notice that a lot of parents are about our age, and so we're like, hey, we want to find a way to reach our parents and help them to kind of enter into an adult level thinking of faith, because most people, most adults have pretty low level of understanding of the faith, kind of a basic understanding of faith. We wanted to boost that up a little bit. And so how was a way to do that was like, well, they're all about our age. And what do? We listen to a lot of podcasts. So we brainstormed this idea of what would it be like if we opened up a podcast. And then what had happened was I went to this meeting and we had planned all kinds of stuff. We even recorded some pilot stuff with some friends while we were drinking and smoking cigars and stuff like that. And I went to this meeting with another friend of mine, and she was talking about how her and her friends were starting up a podcast and all this stuff. And she wanted to get some information because she knew that I was thinking about it. And then I get home and my wife says, David, you sit on these things all the time and then end up being the last person on it, or somebody else grabs the exact idea that you had going and they run with it. You need to start this. So I stayed up till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and made it live that day. And then I texted Neil and said, hey, we got a podcast.
To just hop on.
Like,
you don't have a choice in
this
it.
is happening.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I don't know if Neil thought it was funny, but
No,
go ahead.
Yeah, it was a little different because it's like I've been listening to podcasts for like 11, 12 years. And I mostly started because I listened to radio shows. So, like sports stations and stuff, they do the thing where, so if you can't listen to it on the radio, you can download it on your computer. Right. So then I found like LA radio stations because I'm from LA originally. And I would download those in my computer at work and I listened to them in the afternoon and stuff. And I'm like, this is great that they have this thing. Then I found out you can download them to your iPods and stuff. And, I would do that, daily. And then I would start finding out that there's more than just the sports shows. And then, you find comic book podcasts and all these things. And I'm like, podcasts are great. I need to do something like this.
The list goes on,
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Because I always joke. And it's like, figure out what you want. And maybe there's a podcast about it.
Oh, yeah.
So he says he wants to do it. And then I said, okay. And it's true because, when he was talking about our parents or the parents of, we teach, I teach confirmation at our church, our Catholic church, and David's the youth minister and he's in charge of it all. So he's talking about doing something for the parents. And then one of the about 2 years ago when I was teaching, one of the kids I had in my class, I realized that his mom went to school with me. So I'm like, oh, wow, I guess I am getting that old that I'd have kids
that you used to go to school with.
Yeah, I know. I could have kids in confirmation right now. Of course, my kids are 3 and 1, so I had them a little later. But it was like, whoa. So, and I think we started this so it could be some kind of tool for parents to figure out what we're going to teach.
Yeah.
I think we were going to go like, here are the things we're going to kind of teach throughout the year. If we're going to do morality, if we're going to teach about Catholic faith in certain sacraments and certain things like that, or if it was Bible stories or whatever, if that's coming up in next month, we'll kind of do a podcast about it and keep it kind of on our level. And then the parents could listen to it and say, oh, these guys are talking about this stuff. But I don't think we ever really did that.
Nah. The closest thing was like the first couple of episodes we had done was one on the existence of God. And it was more of like, rather than going deep into the philosophy stuff, it was more about like, why does it matter? And then the second one we did, magical bags of meat, was on that was number 2, right? Yeah, that was on the transubstantiation and the Eucharist. So that was the closest thing we got to actually going with that plan. And then it just became like a legacy, or like the thoughts on our faith as adults and wrestling with the stuff that we wrestle with, especially raising our kids in the faith and trying to figure all this stuff out, like every other practicing Christian is trying to just figure out like, what does it mean to follow Jesus in this broken world? And so that's basically what we've been doing. And
yeah, but then it'd be hey, I read this article, let's talk about it. And the Pope read this letter, so we got to talk about that too. And then it kind of got to, hey, let's do something fun and talk about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
but we could tie it in because the author's Catholic, and he's gonna have religious allegories all over the place. So let's throw that in too. And then we brought a friend in and did that. And then there's another time where it's just like, hey, let's just talk about Christmas movies.
Yeah, because we didn't bring up. J.J.R. Tolkien, he was friends with C.S. Lewis, so
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There's definitely some crossover in what they would talk about and what they would write about,
Yeah, the Inklings, they're all part of that group.
Yeah.
Kind of a Lucas and Spielberg thing.
Yeah,
the analogies continue
out there.
But yeah, so pretty much it just started as an idea for kind of, I guess, outreach for your guys' church, and then it sort of became, I guess, something similar in a way, because it was outreach, and your legacy is still sort of an outreach for other people who are perhaps searching for information that they might get at your church in some ways, because it's what you believe or your personality just sort of put out there so that they can kind of latch on and see what it's all about,
Right. And it's the idea here is to really wrestle with the nuance. We did one, our most popular episode is hash is legal there, right? It's that's a quote from Pulp Fiction. And we did a whole a whole episode on what is not only the legality of marijuana, but the morality. What does that actually mean? What does that look like? And how can we wrestle with something like this in a Christian, from a Christian perspective? Because we're dealing with real stuff, like struggles that people are going to try to have to figure out and balance and integrate into their Christian world.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, it's sort of responding to the culture, right? I mean, if the culture is going this way, you want to make sure that Christians, I guess, have sort of a sense of how that should be viewed, at least from a biblical perspective, right? And that's kind of similar to what we do. I mean, if there's something that we think should be addressed, usually we'll kind of go through a biblical perspective first and then kind of delve into different things, because that's kind of the baseline, I guess.
Or comic books.
Nothing wrong with that either.
There's one we literally just did a comic book review.
Of which
that
comic?
was fun.
10-year-old, huh?
Which comic?
I think
it was a 6-issue story arc of Superman when they first launched the DC, the New 52.
New 52.
Oh, okay.
So it's from late 2011, and I recently reread it. And then David's like, "Hey, maybe we should do a comic book review for fun." And I said, "Well, I just read this, and you like Superman, so let's just do this for the fun of it." And then luckily David pulled some Jesus stuff out of it, but for a bit, it's just like, I thought it was neat because it's like a brand new version, not totally new version of Superman, but they had different like supporting cast and all this stuff because this one writer was doing it. And I'm like, I love the way he did world building. But what's funny is after the 6th issue and the arc ended, he quit the book because he didn't like the way editorial was going. So all these new characters and new things were gone. And then they never, because I'm like, oh, wow, I never heard of these characters. This is neat. And then I look it up online and I'm like, well, they only have 6 appearances. They're all gone.
Yeah, they're just deleted.
I was like, yeah, it's like its own little microcosm because I guess they didn't know what to do with Superman for about 5 years. And
So is that kind of how you guys start most episodes? It's just kind of an idea comes to you and like, hey, let's just talk about that. You know, do you ever get questions from people that you kind of feel like you need to answer? Or is it more so coming from kind of what you guys want to talk about on a time to time basis?
I think the drug one where I think it was mostly about marijuana, but I think because it's legal in Nevada. And so we talked about that, but I think it expanded to other drugs, didn't it?
Right, it did.
And sorry, but I think that's the only one really. We had a friend of ours say, "Hey, you should talk about drugs," but almost every other time, I don't think anybody's really given us any questions. I think we've asked people to, but they haven't written in.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Hey, talk about
about
Mary, or talk about the weather. I don't know. Talk about whatever.
So you guys, for the most part, have to come up with your own prompts, pretty much. So like what you guys talk about, which kind of you stem off from there, from what your episode is about, the whole premise of each one.
Yeah. Or the last one or the second last one, we didn't come up with a subject at all. We just kept talking.
Yeah, we did.
Just roll with it.
Kind of, because we just kept going off on tangents, and that took about 2 hours. So we edited it up to about 1 hour and 10 or something. And
and that's something else that you guys that's something else that you guys do that surprises us, is how much you edit podcast episodes, because you'll have all of this information, maybe like 2 hours or over, and then you kind of whittle it down to maybe about 1 hour of good content.
Like taking the
do you ever like release bloopers or something like that, like funny
we did actually.
Like a gag reel?
So our second most popular episode is called Sloppy Seconds, and it's literally that. It's all the stuff I edited out. and
it's the second most popular one.
But what it was too is it wasn't it wasn't really bloopers though. It's kind of a misleading thing, because what it was, I think, is we were talking about X, Y, and Z, and then we went on to different tangents about stuff that were like 10-minute stories or whatnot. And
we found Robert, guys. He just made
our special cameo appearance. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Robert. Robert, you have to say hi to these guys, and then, well, whatever. Here, I'll tell you the rest of it. So the idea is we had all these other subjects that went on for 10, 15 minutes that were good.
Can I hear too?
Huh? I know. I'll take care of your boo boo. Stay here. Wait 1 sec. So the point. This is great TV. So we had things that had nothing to do with the rest of the episode, so it cut off because they didn't just work. So, what we did is we released them later.
Can I have some of those?
No, you're going to bed. All right, I'm gonna take a break for a second.
All right,
You talk to David.
You go ahead.
That's the problem.
Bye, Robert. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, I think I kind of forgot to say it when we were on a call with Sophie. I think how long ago was it? Last week? Was it last week? Yeah, last week. It's really cool because like how the chemistry between you guys and what you guys talk about, and it kind of just reminds me again of like when we're talking about this stuff. But it's cool because there's it sounds like there's a little bit of something for everybody that they can pick up from whatever you guys are talking about, like when it's comic books or cinema, action, or talking about biblically things or biblical stories and how those things come from other stories and how you can derive different truths or different biblical concepts from like Superman or anything like that.
Right.
But it's cool to see how you can take anything that you guys talk for the most part and kind of shift it to a whole new level where it's like, if you look at it this way, or this kind of relates to this idea in this sense, and that kind of changes, the whole game completely. So it's just really cool to see how you guys kind of come up with that stuff like on the spot.
Yeah, well, it's like it works out perfect because today's what St. Patrick's feast day, right? And so he has that beautiful prayer, the breastplate of St. Patrick, where it's a long prayer, but then like towards the end of it, he says, Christ in me, Christ around me, Christ to my left, Christ to my right of me, Christ above me, Christ behind me, Christ before me. All of this stuff is like Christ is, if you're walking the Christian life, he is everything that you're about. So whenever you see like Superman or you read the stories, you're pulling out, like that's what C.S. Lewis was doing with Narnia. That's what Tolkien did with The Lord of the Rings, was saying, hey, it's not just like, none of us are perfectly Christ. Only Christ is perfectly Christ.
Right. Totally.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we are shadows, poor shadows, to the extent that we are, trying to pursue holiness, and we latch on to these aspects of Christ, and we try to emulate them. And the good stories always do the same thing, because Christ is fully human. That's what it means to be fully alive, right? Is to look like Jesus. So anywhere that full life is, you're going to see aspects of Christ's life. And so it just kind of happens, like we start to pull that stuff out of there. It helps that, Jesus' parents, or Superman's parents were named Martha and Jonathan, just like Mary and Joseph. So it works. It works.
The little things, right? That you pick up, right? They had to do it.
The little things help,
Right. Nuance, definitely. Right? Like, don't be afraid to pick on them. That's really cool, though. Yeah.
Superman. I'm going to be thinking about that later tonight. I'm just going to be.
Yeah. Now, for the people that are listening to us, they're like hardcore DC fans. They're probably wondering, like, what are they talking about? Like, what does Superman have to do with?
I know
all the stuff. Now, they're going to be encouraged to check that out, which will be below. If you're curious, check that out.
This is not a sponsorship for DC, just so you guys know.
We got too many copyright infringement issues already from saying their name. But
do you?
No,
sorry. We're gonna demonetize your channel.
It's just censorship everywhere.
We're already blocked in a few countries. I don't know about you guys, but
are you guys like? Do you guys? I know you guys have been on for quite a while, but with that experience of posting your podcast episodes, has there been anything like bans you guys have gotten, or like anything like similar like that, where it was like, whoa, like you kind of took you back for a second?
No, because we're not video, and so when you start doing you would think, like, with how much of the editing that I do in there, and sometimes I'm throwing in snippets of this, that, and the other thing, you'd think we'd be in a lot more trouble than we actually are, but but surprisingly no, and we've gotten to quite a few number of countries for I don't remember what the count was. But we've got
at least like 10 countries or something that is at least downloaded once.
Right. Right.
So But also, we're not. I mean, when they were banning you in countries, was there a reason or?
There was no reason given. It just said like, and it wasn't even all the videos. It was just certain videos that you wouldn't even expect. I think one of them was, what was the one that got banned? I think it
was it
it
like
wasn't
one of those
Letting
deep
Go,
ones?
was it?
Oh, it wasn't? I thought that was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian sees on his
Oh,
account like all
maybe
the
I think it was the
videos
art
that-
of. I think it was the art of giving.
the art of
all
giving.
things. Yeah.
Around Saint Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving, we talked about like different ideas and what it means like to actually give aside from materialistic things. But yeah, I didn't know that one got taken down.
That one got blocked.
That's crazy.
So I don't.
Yeah, so
That sort of thing happens. But as far as like people who have like listened to your content abroad, we've had some pretty crazy outliers. Like we've had people in the Philippines, Indonesia, Russia, even Saudi Arabia, which are like places I wouldn't even think would, say, oh, Art of Awesomeness, let's watch that today, So have there been any countries where you're just amazed that someone from there actually has been listening to your voice, across the sea or something like that? Like,
I think England was our big one, right?
Yeah,
We were surprised at the numbers that we had in the UK, because usually, like if you see like what Ireland had like 8 downloads or something menial like that, and we're like, oh, some random person found us, or listened to 8 episodes and got bored, or something like that, right?
that's what it sounds like.
Right, but then in the UK it had like something of like 50 or 60 or something like downloads at first. And we're like, where the heck did this come from? And how the heck did anybody even hear about our menial podcast over in the UK and starts downloading all this stuff?
just like obviously that.
Well,
Because we don't even have 50 episodes.
Yeah.
So that means there's at least multiple people.
Yeah.
That snippet out.
Just-
Oh wow, UK. That's
UK.
one of our dream countries.
Well, there's UK, Ireland. There are a significant number of Catholics there, I believe. So
Yeah. Also, they're English speaking countries. So,
yeah.
I mean, when we've had like Australia and stuff like that, it makes
Oh, yeah.
sense because we, an English podcast. But I mean, I think we've had some non-English speaking countries. So somebody's got to know English to listen to us,
right.
unless they just like my voice. But
I mean, that's a good reason.
I mean, I'm down with that hypothesis.
It's all spies. They're just listening. This is what an American sounds like. You listen to this voice.
It's like, you do not know how to do it. Like,
Steady up. This is them, David and Neil.
Actually, when we got viewers from Russia, I mean, that was a weird thing because we're like, hold on.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because I mean, at least not in the podcast, obviously on Spotify, because you can't see anything. But in real life, in the video, we have an American flag right behind us. So like when we see countries like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and stuff like that, it's just sort of like, whoa, okay, that's
cool.
That's new. Because
That's what your targets. Who knew?
Yeah,
yeah, we're on a hit list now.
pretty much.
they probably listen to a lot or see a lot of American video anyway, or media. So
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think also the fact that we're not monetized or anything, we don't have sponsors, we don't have anything. So
Yeah.
So I think in a sense, if we started making money, that's when people sit there and say, you can't make money with all our Simpsons clips. So,
Right, because right now we're not really no harm, no foul, right?
right. So in
yeah.
a sense, that's kind of how it is. If you don't make money, they really don't care about you, I guess, unless you're really big or something. And
Unless you're
then
Joe
I
Rogan,
think there's enough of something you can do. Like, I know you could play like songs for like,
8 seconds.
20 seconds.
Oh,
or
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
No, it's 8. It's 8 seconds.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then it's out of there. But
Yep,
yeah,
then
it's
done.
still.
You get the boot.
What's before we go into next thing, I was just wondering.
yeah.
Now we're on the topic of kind of your progression as a podcast. What is, as you kind of progressed into making new episodes, what's one of the hardest struggles that has come with doing what you have done? Like looking back now from where you guys are at, what's one of the hardest struggles or something that kind of just sprung up that kind of was a little bit had a lot of mental turmoil going on facing it?
No, for me, like it's just getting the time in, because everybody knows like a successful podcast or a successful YouTube channel or anything like this is going to be, it's time intensive. Like not only do you have to create the content, you got to edit the content. Like I'm just looking at, I'm I'm judging the video right now because I know you'll have to edit it later. And I'm looking at my video. I'm like, I should have lit this room better. You know?
No,
Like,
I put this light here.
yeah. I saw yours, and I'm like, man, Neil changed his up to make it nicer. And I should have backlit the desk or something like that, just for editing purposes and stuff like that.
Oh, they're not going to edit this.
Yeah.
Thanks. We got Zoom for that. Thanks, Zoom.
But it's that kind of stuff that's difficult. Like we can get or we could get a really good idea for a topic, and then be like, oh man, when are we going to record? Like, we don't have any time to record this week. We have we need to spend time with our wives because, hey, we were married to them and we love them, and they
happy wife, happy life, right?
I know they want time and attention. Same thing with our kids. We had them, accidents or not. I'm just kidding.
Secrets are exposed.
and they want our time and attention as well. It's so like you combine that with work and just ministry life in general, like getting together. That's why it's like 9:00 right now. It's 9:30. We're recording this podcast, and everybody's got work tomorrow. But that's where we're at. Is like that's the hardest part, is finding the time to do it all, and then editing it.
Yeah, I would say if we were, when I was your guys' age, I probably would have popped these off once a week. Easy. Yeah, because that's just something I realize is like at a certain age, it's like, God, I had so much free time, because I'll be thinking of like times in high school or something, even though I was in sports and band and like Key Club and all that kind of stuff. Somehow I'm still like, God, I had plenty of time that I watched all these TV shows.
Right, because you're not like having kids and
exactly
going out, right?
And school's a lot shorter than work too, because when I'm at work for like 9+ hours or 10 hours or something, and then you're like, geez, it's most of my day. But when you're at school, you like get there at 6 and you're done. Well, depending on 7 or whatever, and then you're done. And even with after school stuff, you could still be home before 5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the time difference is really kind of, as you kind of grow up a bit more, it's when you do things like podcasts, it's definitely. Yeah. It seems like it's a bit of a struggle, especially with kids. We don't have kids or wives, so we don't.
Yeah. Then by the time our kids are in high school and stuff and don't want anything to do with us, we'll have plenty of free time.
That's right. There you go.
And when you're married long enough, they don't want to see you either. So.
That'll be the golden years for Among Wolves. Just look forward to it.
Yeah, that's the end goal. So you were saying that when the listeners start noticing, wow, they have a lot more time to make more episodes. Is everything okay at the house? Like with with the wife and the kids?
Do they kick them out?
They're just in the background.
Either that, or we start getting sponsors, in which case our wives will be happy we're recording. We're bringing in some money.
Who was it too? That was what's it called? There's a podcast I listened to called the Star Wars Minute, right? And they started off breaking down the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time.
Oh my god!
But it's not all super minutia about each minute. They throw in a lot of funny stuff for different things and talk to different guests, so it makes it enjoyable. Right. So look it up. It's pretty neat. Well, what it did is it also spawned a whole minutes by minute community. So they have 200 different movies that other people are breaking down minute by minute, or in different things, like the Friday the 13th movies, they're doing in 13 minutes. And what was it? What's it called? Terminator 2. They were doing in 2 minutes or something. So they do different things like that. But what happened was they did the first movie, and then they did Empire Strikes Back, and then they did Return of the Jedi, and they're like, yeah, I think that's good. But they started doing a Patreon thing. And when they were starting to make money, like thousands of dollars a month or something like that, it was almost like a job. So they're like, well, now we'll do the prequels because we're getting paid for it. If they weren't getting paid, they said that they probably wouldn't have done the prequels.
Yeah, there's definitely an incentive for people who get paid doing podcasts and stuff, because it's like it's one thing to do it as a hobby, but then it's another thing where you're gaining income from it, because then it becomes something more professional, I guess. You want to put in that effort to it,
right?
Yeah, literally profession.
Because if you're not acting very professional, the likelihood of people continuing to watch your content, it's likely to go down over time. if you're not constantly, upping it at least a little bit, right? So there's that aspect of it. Yeah, but I agree with the whole time thing, not having enough time. Because when Christian and I started this podcast, we were in college, but we had no jobs. Now we have jobs. So then
we were in college.
If we were
past us now.
But pretty much, now there's a whole question of, hey, are you off work yet? And obviously that wasn't a factor, a few months ago. So it's weird how just, one little thing, oh, I got a job, that throws a whole thing into whatever you're doing on the side. And it's something else you have to think about. And as you get older, I feel like it's just thing after thing after thing that just kind of piles up of, oh, now I'm worrying about this and this. And so now it's a wife, but then wife, now it's a kid. I have a job, and then just sort of piles up over time. How do you, is it more difficult for you to manage it, or has it gotten easier as you sort of
have you guys found different
ways to get around it? Or?
Well, it's all opportunity costs. Like it costs time in order to do something like this. And that cost is going to be felt by particular people, right?
Right.
It's either going to be felt by my kids, or it's going to be felt by my wife, or
by you,
or by me,
or by me. Up late.
Yeah, that's true. Because we stay up pretty late, and I am old, and so you have to just really, really measure that cost. I never I don't think I recorded all when the kids, I don't think I've ever recorded, and I don't think you've ever recorded with us when the kids are supposed to be awake. Obviously Robert kind of wakes up sometimes and busts in.
I swear every time I put him to bed on a day we record, he doesn't go to sleep. But there's plenty of times I put him to bed, I'll lie next to him or something, and then he's like, but if we're recording, he's up, and he gets up 10 times. So I got to try to turn on the computer all quiet and keep the door closed so he doesn't think I'm doing anything. Then I go downstairs and get a drink and do this stuff so that he doesn't know.
You have to be all sneaky about it.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
Because he's been on the show once or twice, in audio form, and now video, I guess. So
yeah, our first cameo.
So we try not to record because we don't want our kids to feel like we are taking away our time from them by doing something like this, because they're not going to understand any of this. They're too young.
Right.
My oldest is 8 and my youngest is 4. He's got Neil's got young ones, and so it's just so that's completely out of the picture. So we're not going to record whenever it's a time whenever our kids need our attention.
I don't want him in the way.
What's that, Neil?
I just don't want him in the way.
That's a whole different reason.
Yeah, that too. That's called the double effect, Neil. That's the unintended second.
Right. That's not why
we got Dana over here saying, yeah, we're just about really being sentimental about spending time, not taking time away from the kids, and then we just balance that out with the Neil's aspect of just
and now you get the show. It's
and that's a wrap.
How do you guys feel about your kids when they get older listening to your podcast with full understanding of what it's about and what you guys did? I mean, does that ever cross your minds of what I'm saying right now they're going to listen to in the future, what they're going to think about it?
David's always thinking about this.
Yep. This is a big thing with me. This is my primary reason why the podcast still exists. Is in my family, the male line does not live very long. We tend to die in our 60s. In fact, my oldest living male relative just passed away, and he was 68. And it's one of those things that I don't have stories from my grandfather. My grandfather never wrote anything down that anybody kept. He was a Baptist preacher. I don't know anything about what he thought or what he preached on in scripture or anything like that. I just have a Bible with some highlighted verses. I want to have something for my kids, because my family, we're not sentimental people. My family, Neil knows, we're not huggers. Well, in my family, Jeevy, my wife, her family is, everybody's a hugger. But on my side is we are just not touchy-feely in any kind of way. We're not sentimental in any kind of way. I throw away everything to the detriment. I get in trouble. Yeah. But I want my kids to be able to look back at something. And this doesn't take up space. It takes up a little bit of time. But I want my kids to be able to look back and say, here's what my dad thought about this. I remember my dad had an opinion on this, and here's what it was, or here's the sound of my dad's voice after he's gone. And that's stuff that's like I wish I had from my grandfather, and I just don't.
So that opportunity cost that you were kind of talking about earlier, where you have to take away some time from the kids and family to do this podcast, in a way, it's sort
Like
of
an
coming back to
investment.
them later.
Ooh.
That lost time kind of almost fills in at a later date. It's like a fulfilling thing over time.
Yep.
Maybe not in the moment, but yeah.
That delayed gratification. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a grandkid thing and a great grandkid thing or something, I mean, right now it seems like all this media stuff all this digital thing, they just last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So if depending on how it stays,
unless the Canticle of Leibowitz. What was that book? The Canticle of Leibowitz. Did anybody read that book? Or am I the only nerd?
Yeah,
That's the only nerd.
I think
I've never heard that combination of words in my life.
On this one. Yeah, I think we haven't read it.
Basically, it was I can't remember the author. I'll remember it eventually. But basically the premise of the book is like there was another world war, and it nuked the world basically back into the Stone Age. And so and all media was destroyed because they felt like this is what caused the war to come into place, was people having a brain.
Well, it's like, what's it called when they talk about the EMPs and stuff? Because then you're back to the Stone Age, and that's why I feel bad at not buying physical media anymore. Like, oh, I don't need to buy that because I can get it streaming.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like
you're not buying a DVD or VHS anymore. It's like,
Right, exactly. But then I got a whole wall full of DVDs over there.
Right.
That are like, oh, and I don't touch them. But someday when the streaming services phase out, or they find out that Bambi's offensive and they take it away, so
they cancel it.
They cancel Bambi or something,
and then it's Dr.
like,
Seuss.
Yeah, and then it's like, now what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a backup plan.
Yeah,
it's like a backup.
It was really funny on Amazon. It just all the I don't know exactly what the right title is, but the books that were being the bestsellers were all Dr. Seuss books. Once people heard that it was being taken down, just everyone.
Once they were getting canned, Mr. Potato Head. All those things. Yeah.
Weird
That's
times, man. But we actually have some questions that Sophie herself wanted us to ask you. So
cool.
Wait, hold on.
Is she writing in live or these before?
These are before.
Do we have people writing into you live or?
No.
This is all recorded.
Oh yeah. So
I'm gonna give Sophie some crap because I know Sophie's a listener and she never she never sends in stuff whenever we ask her to send in stuff. All of a sudden,
upon special request, because you guys are a lot more closer and you guys know each other a lot longer. So I think it's just us just being noobs to the whole podcast thing. She just wants to test run this on us first. So we're going to through us deliver some questions.
She said that you guys would have a lot of really good and fun answers for these. So the first question was, how did you, I guess both of you, whoever wants to go first, how did you meet your wife?
Go ahead, Neil.
Okay, I met my wife
right off the bat.
Well, it's funny. I met her at a young adult group at our church, St. Francis. It was funny because longer story. I was working youth group at another church that I actually didn't really go to, another Catholic church. And a friend of mine who was there, I guess she met a guy she thought was cute, who was the youth minister before David, a few before David was there. And so she's like, we got to go to this young adult group. Why don't you go with me? And so I was like, all right, I'll go. And another friend went, and it was kind of like, here I've been back into the church game because I took about a 6-year hiatus from church. And so I kind of got back and I was helping out with youth group. So I'm like, cool, now I got to do something with peers. Cause I've been, I was probably about, 29, almost 30. And I was, teaching kids and stuff, like high school kids, and being there. And now it's like, now I get something from me. And then I get this group and I'm like, I'm in love with this group. It's fun. It's cool. La-di-da-da. And then there was this one girl there who was there, and that was Lisa. And she was kind of quiet and, shy per se ish, very introverted, and but she was still part of the group, and we hung out. There was a bunch of us that kind of hung out. And then because I was outgoing and annoying, let's say, and boisterous, and I used to joke with her because I knew it would make her feel uncomfortable and be like, Lisa, when are we going to go on a date? Huh? When are we gonna do that? But the thing is, I didn't really like her or anything. It was just the fact that she was quiet, and it was a fun way to kind of poke at her.
That gave you a reason to, kind of pick at it a bit more, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was more in jest and stuff like that. And it was all fun and games for a while. And then it was a point in time where we started hanging out and talking and doing stuff more. And then there was a stretch of time with our young adult group that kind of was not, it was kind of thinning out, and there wasn't as many people. So we do these activities, and it ended up being like me, Lisa, and somebody else. Then we did a thing where we went to Ellis Island and did, which is a casino in town, sorry, and did karaoke. It was me, Lisa, and another person. Oh, we're gonna go to Special Our Lady of Guadalupe Mass when they have a mariachi band and everything. Awesome. Me, Lisa, and another person. And I sat there and I said, I feel like we're dating, but we're not dating. It's kind of funny. So then there was times where we're hanging out a lot, and there was a day. Oh, what was it? It was Martin Luther King Day. So she had the day off because she teaches school. So I took the day off, and we just kind of hung out. And that's when she kissed me. And then I said, oh, what's this? And then I said, okay, that's kind of cool. And then it was like, okay, what's going to happen here? And then I don't know, it was probably a couple weeks, maybe a week later. And she's like, all right, what's going on?
She's like, all right. Wait, she's so like, you
are we together or not? And
so you said that was kind of cool to her, or what's this?
Oh, no, that's in my head. Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that to her, like, what's this? Or that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, okay.
That's more funny. That's more funny. You're right. No, I went with it. I mean, girl kisses me, I'm going to go all out and, I'll kiss her back. And he's going to enjoy it. And I have not had any complaints about my kissing, but
5 stars.
So back to the thing is, she kind of confronted me and said, what's going on
Mom
here?
rates it.
Because I used to be a very flirtatious person. So she was just very like, I don't want you flirting around with other girls if we're supposed to be together, and I'm going to be jealous. But if this is nothing, then we don't need to do anything. And I was like, all right, dang. All right, let's like start dating or something. And
she's like, fine.
Dang, you whittled me down. God.
Okay, I'm fine. We'll start dating now. Gee.
Yeah. And then that's kind of what happened. And then, that's when you like find out that you love her without you knowing you love her. It's one of those things where it's like, I didn't have like that, oh, I'm so in love with you, so all I do is think about you when I'm supposed to be at work. None of that stuff. Like in my early 20s when I had a crush on a girl, I only thought about of her and stuff when I was working and supposed to be like pricing milk and stuff, and I wasn't paying attention at work or whatever. But yeah, exactly. So then this is like, it's like, oh, Lisa, we're dating. It's no big deal. Oh, I'm done doing whatever I'm doing. I'm going to go see if she's doing anything. I'm going to do this and hang out with her. I'm going to do this and hang out with her. And then, then that just happened. And then, then we got married and everything was great. So
that's
the Spark Notes version.
The Spark Notes version. So it just started off as
Nicholas Spark Notes.
It just started off as kind of, so from, kind of a faith kind of outreach kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Awesome from there.
It worked out well because like my last real steady girlfriend, from, years before was, I met her in a retreat that we did for church. So I was always happy that, I'm dating these Catholic girls, and then, the whole religion aspect didn't have to, come into play. It didn't have to be a problem. I didn't have to be like, hey, here's this thing. Did you want to convert or whatever? Or she try to convert me? I did think about saying I would like to marry a Jewish girl because then we get double holidays and stuff. But
can marry into wealth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But But I mean, so then when Lisa and I started dating and stuff, I was happy that I met her at church, and we had a lot of similar friends, and so that kind of worked out too. So yeah, so it started out as that, and we were friends for 2 years before we even started dating. And then we were together for 2 years before I proposed, and then so by the time we got married, we knew each other for 5 years.
So kind of just fell into place.
Yeah,
it sounds like just fell into place. I like that. Just
yeah. Now we've been together for over 10 years, and it's just like shocking me because I'm surprised it's been that long.
Right,
so
time
fast.
goes by fast.
Time flew, right?
It goes by a lot faster later.
Oh, well, that's we'll keep that. We'll write that down as lessons on our advice.
Oh, I
this
got you.
podcast.
I'll write it down.
Yeah, we have a note. We have a notebook for these kind of things.
Okay.
We want to make sure that all our listeners have. Just write it. Okay. Yeah, Dave. Oh, sorry. What were we saying, Dave?
Oh no. I just took 20 minutes to tell a 5-minute story. So David,
No,
sorry, you only
that's
had 3 minutes.
that's great. No, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Take an hour if you want.
Don't give him an hour. He'll take the hour.
Yeah, he won't be modest. Dude, what about you? What's your story with your wife?
So Jeevy and I met on an airplane, which is crazy. It was back in 2001. That's how old we are.
I was born that year.
Yeah, I know, right?
What?
I was born in 2001. Yeah.
Yeah. We met in November. Or
I have T-shirts older than you.
I know, right? Legit. So we met on an airplane. We were going to NCYC, which is the National Catholic Youth Conference. It was a conference out in Indianapolis, and we were going out together. And she was with one church, and I was with another church. This is November 2001, so like a few months right after 9/11. Right, 9/11 was September of 2001. Right. And so flying was not an okay thing. And so my church actually backed out. We weren't participating in this conference. But my little sister was invited by the bishops to attend. She was on some kind of council of things or whatever. And she was freaked out because she had to fly in this airplane. And so the invitation to her was still to attend. And she was like, I'm not going unless I can take my brother. And so I went with her. You wouldn't be able to tell from the podcast or anything because I'm super comfortable with Neil and stuff like that. And now I'm just used to hearing my own voice and stuff because we've been doing this so long. But my sister and I, my younger sister and I, are probably the most introverted person you could ever meet. Anytime we take those personality tests, we always score the highest on the introverted level or whatever. And that used to manifest in me as a high schooler and a young college student as extreme shyness and very little speaking abilities in social situations. And my sister was the same way. In fact, she still is a very, very painfully shy and doesn't really speak to people in social situations unless she has to or feels the obligation to. And so we get on this airplane after 9/11. We're both nervous and both of us hate to fly. And the most bubbly girl you could possibly imagine sat in front of us. And that would end up being my wife. Her name was Jeevy. And she turns around. She sees, go ahead.
Still is.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Her name still is Jeevy. Yeah. It's the last name's what changed. I'm sorry. I get that mixed up sometimes.
Right. Yeah. All right. We got you. We got it. Okay.
She turns around and she's like, hi, what's your name? Who are you guys? And then before my sister and I could answer, like she's already talking to her friend next to her and just kind of totally forgot we were behind her. So I looked at my sister and we just gave this look of, like the conversation that two siblings can have just by looking at each other without actually saying any kind of words. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh my goodness, this is the craziest person.
Yeah, the glare. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what happened. And so we land. And then the only thing that was open, everybody was hungry. The only thing that was open was a Denny's. And so my sister and I sat at the front of the bus because we don't want to know people. We get out, we sit in the back of the restaurant because we don't want to know people. The last table as far as humanly possible. We're the only exactly. We're the only bus that's there, or we're the only people that's there, and it's just our bus of people. And then my wife Jeevy because she wants to know everybody, and she's dawdling and taking time. She's the last person out of the bus, the last person with her group of friends into the restaurant. And guess where the last place to sit was?
Oh, how convenient.
Was our table. And she orders a bunch of stuff or whatever. And then at the very end of that meal, she realized that she left her wallet and stuff on the bus. And so I literally paid for her meal the first time that we met, and I thought she was super annoying. But then, like, because we attached at that moment, like we're in a different state and all this stuff. We ended up hanging out, and I ended up realizing, like, all right, I kind of like this girl, and by the end of the conference, it was like a 5 or 6 days conference. You know, we were talking with one another, and we were singing together, and she sings beautifully. And I know, right? And then on the airplane ride back, I told her the smoothest pickup line ever, guys. So if you guys, I listened to your
get the notepad out.
Okay. Oh shoot. Oh gosh.
The notepad is my hand.
Keep in mind that this work because they're married and they have kids.
I know.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's the smoothest pickup line ever. We're married, happily married for 11 years now, or 12 years. 12 years now.
Neil is
we have 3 beautiful children.
Okay.
This works, people.
Okay, yeah, we're just letting you guys know background information.
This is wisdom.
That's one example of working.
Okay.
It only needs one example of working. That's all that's required.
All right. Let's do this.
All right. So we're on an airplane, and this is after the most tumultuous airplane ride ever you could possibly imagine. It was like I thought we were all going to die in the air.
Right.
And you know, she busts out her rosary and she starts praying with me. I'm like, oh, this is the girl right here, because she's praying with me. Right. And then we're on this flight back, and she ends up sitting next to me. I just lean over to her and I say, I find you attractive. That was the line, guys.
That's it.
I think that's it. I think you're attractive. And then and bam, it was just like a moth to a fly. That was or moth to a flame or whatever. That was it, right?
And so she became a hall in that moment.
Wait, so that's the moment that she became a hall.
Okay, so do you remember what she said like right after that, or was it just like a blur, pretty much?
Yeah, it was an awkward conversation, to say the least.
She was like,
started the conversation.
That's nice.
You got it going.
It sure did. And then at the very end of it, she was like, wait, so are we going out? Are we dating? Just like
so kind of like Neil.
Just like Neil.
Yeah. That's how powerful his I think you're attractive was.
Yep.
That is wow.
I think
it's direct, it's straightforward.
That's amazing. You don't realize this right now, but this for us, like still developing. Are we even teenagers anymore? Are we honestly like, we're not teenagers?
Are you 20?
No, we're still teenagers.
Like yeah, we're 19, 18. So
yeah, you're still teenagers.
I was a teenager.
You don't realize
you're still adults, but you're teenagers.
Right. Yeah. But you don't like this to us. Like this is gold. So thank you. This is amazing.
Yeah, just to let you know, I used that "find you attractive" line on a stripper once. It didn't work out as well.
So proceed with caution, pretty much.
Did it get you kicked out?
Oh no, I just had to pay another $20.
There's a fee for claiming my attractiveness. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, now we know. It's that simple. Those 4 words. Amazing. We would have never known.
So you either pay $20 or get married.
That's it. That's it. There's only 2 options. We've tested this theory.
It has worked.
It's scientific. There are repeatable scenarios.
We'll be the next 2. Don't worry.
This is it. So now, I guess I know. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That made my night. That made my week, David. So let me ask now. We kind of talked about a bit more about your wife. How did you 2 meet, like specifically? Do you guys
I met Neil on a plane. He was.
Did you use the line?
I was sitting next to Jimmy.
I find you attractive, Neil.
I said, I find your beard so attractive, Neil.
Now look at you guys. Now you're here.
It is so fuzzy too right now. I haven't shaved in like weeks.
Would you ever just grow it out? I mean, complete?
No, because I can't handle it too bushy.
No.
I think when was it? It was when COVID first hit. And what's funny is I think I got my hair cut around Christmas time so that it looked good for when, the family came over. And then COVID hits hard in March and it's like, oh man, I need to get my hair cut because it's been, 2 months or so.
Right.
And then it hit and all the the barbers and salons and everything are closed. So then I just let my hair grow out and I decided not to shave anymore. So I just look like hell. And I remember we would do these Zooms all the time David would put these Zooms on and it's like, whoa, look at Neil.
Amazing.
And then the day they opened up Supercuts, it's like, whoosh, whoosh,
smacking him.
That adds emphasis on the.
That's how, I'm Italian. So we use hands.
Oh, hey. Yeah,
he's Italian.
Me too. I'm Italian also.
Right on.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys actually did meet on a plane?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We met. What's funny is we were doing the young adult group, and it was this point in time where we were helping out with what's it called? We had these movie nights in the summertime for the church. Father John, he would do these things where we have a big blow up screen. And they'd show movies on it, and there was a way to get families for the parish to come and enjoy film and hang out. Mm-hmm. So we would do those things, and our young adult group kind of ran it. So we were sitting there working it, and then one of our friends, she's like, "That girl over there I went to high school with," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. What's going on?" And then lo and behold, that's Jeevy. And that was when David was first checking. Were you actually hired or were you checking it out before you got hired?
So I had been hired. I had the interview that week and Father John had hired me and said, can you come to the movie nights on the weekend just to meet some people in the community? And so, yeah, it was literally right after I got hired.
Yeah. So we didn't know he got hired because the thing is there was a youth minister and he got a job teaching at the Catholic high school. Because youth ministry, a lot of the stuff involves evenings, and he had a bunch of younger kids. So they go to school and then they're off during the day or off during the evening. So he's like, well, I'm working during the evening. I don't see my kids at all. I finally got a job teaching. So I'm going to take this job. So then they didn't have a youth minister. And then what was funny is they got this one guy who was kind of part of our group, but then he was going to be a seminarian. So they're like, okay. And then Father John's like, okay, you could be like the youth minister for the summer. And you knew that was not his calling, but he was kind of just there to get the job done. So the problem was when he was working with us young adults, we all had him as a peer. So we're kind of like, why do we need to listen to this guy? So we did a lot of stuff, without him or whatever. So we knew someone was going to replace him. We just didn't know it was going to be David. And then we had a meeting, a meet the youth minister thing. And then it realized that out of our group of young adults that used to be 20 or something, there were 3 of us that showed up. Because everybody, the problem too, especially in Vegas is a ever-growing town, but it's also somewhat of a transient town. So it's kind of funny on how many people come and go, but yet the population still grows. So there's more people coming into town than leaving. But especially at, early 20s and stuff, you'd have all these people. So we had all these people, and then a few guys moved here. These people did this, or these other couples, they all had kids. So then our group kind of slimmed down. And then there were 3 of us, one of them being, one was Lisa and one was me. And then we met David. And he's like, hi, I'm David. I'm going to be the youth minister. And I guess you guys are doing young adults. And we're like, yeah. And then one of our first young adult meetings, there was 4 people. And then it kept getting smaller. And I felt bad for them because it's hey, I just joined this group and there's nobody there. But it was all inner drama, or like I said, people just kind of aging out, and it had nothing to do with him. It just, that's what was going on. And that's kind of how I met him. And I guess kind of worked together for a year, but we never really got that close till later, till after you had the kids, probably.
Right. Yeah. Because it was you were mostly tied to that young adult group. And then whenever that young adult group fizzled out, it was I saw more of Lisa than I saw of you. And so
well, she was teaching class, that's why.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then when she dragged you in, I'm like, I like this guy because he's not the guy who's gonna like be all pretendy Christian when he's teaching class. He's gonna be himself struggling with the Christian life teaching class. And that's who I want to teach class. That's who I want my kids to know. You know, the guy who's not just saying all the right things because that's the right answer. You know, more of like the guy who's living it out and struggling with it.
That's
and
being authentic.
Exactly.
Oh, a little too authentic at times.
Sometimes I may have to fire him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a few. Who was it?
It's in the works.
There was one kid. It was funny because he's probably, you know, the confirmation classes we teach them. They're usually sophomores in high school, and this one kid who sit there, and he said, "What was it?" He said, "Oh, you know the thing I remember about your class." I was like, "Oh, what was that?" He's like, "It's okay to do drugs as long as you don't do too much."
Wow. And you see why I have to fire him.
It's the one thing he got out of.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of because we kind of got on a whole thing where I was trying to point out in moderation and how if you abuse like legal drugs are you know, they're legal because they're prescriptions and stuff like that. But if you abuse them, they're just as bad and la-di-da-da. And I kind of got onto that point and was talking about, you keep things in moderation. You shouldn't overdo things. And that's when drugs really hurt you. Huh?
No, go ahead. Continue.
I know you're going to fight me on this.
I sure am.
But my point was, it's when they really start ruining your life. It's like if you do something once and if it doesn't mess you up, it's not going to like ruin everything. It's when you get addicted and go down a crazy rabbit hole. And I went over all this kind of stuff and realized that it's like, I think they're taking this the wrong way.
Yep.
Let's do drugs.
As long as you only do meth once, you'll sure be okay.
Well, but think about it though, because we are sinners and we are people who do things that we will regret.
Right.
So that's the fact is, you do. I hate saying that like that. If you do meth once and then realize it's, and get away from it, but it's when you use it constantly and that's all you're doing and you're using the money you used to spend on food because you don't need food because you're on meth and then and you can't pay your rent and you're showing up to work late because you're all tweaked out and then now your life's ruined. So I was trying to point out that that's when everything really gets bad, not the fact that you did it once. You shouldn't feel like you're going to hell.
So he was trying to point out the redemption and the mercy of Christ, and all anybody got out with it. It's okay to do meth once, guys.
Just to be clear,
I think the goal is try not to do meth at all.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. Legality does not equal morality.
Right.
Now, but here's the thing: you can't tell kids don't do anything at all. Because then they want to do it. It's taboo. Right. They want to do stuff that they're not allowed to do. So
which is exactly that text that I sent you, that screenshot of that conversation that I sent you that we need to talk about on the podcast at some point. But yeah, he's right though. There are our adults and our teens and our young adults particularly are entering into a world where certain things are socially acceptable or are legal or are the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're not really scriptural,
They're not scriptural, but there's also because I don't know how to word this appropriately, but because we don't necessarily tackle these things other than saying abstinence or whatever, they're not equipped to actually handle it whenever it's confronted with them. And it's a real temptation. As a 9th grader or 10th grader in high school, meth might not be a temptation. Right. But then, they get out into the world and all these other things or whatever it happens to be. Then all of a sudden that meth might become a temptation for them. Mm-hmm. And we didn't equip them to handle it by saying, stay off of meth, or marijuana or premarital sex or whatever it happens to be, And these are the things that Neil's really good at getting at, getting into those things, not necessarily so good at the follow through of saying,
but the general idea,
but bringing up the topic, and that's an important topic to talk about. And I don't have the answer to those things.
Right.
And those are the kind of things that we talk about on the show too.
Well, because it's not just like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, continue.
I was just going to say, because it's not just telling kids not to do something, you also have to tell why, right? So they have a reason in their head, like, oh, it's not just I'm not supposed to do this for an arbitrary reason. Right. There is an actual purpose for why, this is something I should stay away from, right? This is actually a beneficial thing if I stay away from it. If they're just told no, then they're thinking, well, no says who, right? I'm just going to choose because I'm whatever. I'm this age, that age, and it says in the legal documents that I can do it, right? So
yeah, it's also like when you tell your kids don't touch the stove, but if you don't explain that it burns and it hurts, then they're gonna be like, tell me not to touch the stove. I'll touch the stove all I want. Yeah, I'm a man. I'm 3 years old. I'll touch the stove all I want.
I can reach it now,
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's the thing. You're right. It's just like you said, but that was also the point I always wanted to make with things is we sit there and go like, oh yeah, well these things are legal, it's fine, but I mean technically if it's almost like the sin of gluttony kind of thing. It's if you eat too much ice cream, it's bad,
right.
So in a sense that's the deal. So it's like, oh, I can drink this Monster energy drink. Monster's not paying us, but if you want to, you can please send me.
We'll have contact information down.
Yes. You drink this Monster energy drink, well then it's probably okay, but if you drink 6 of them, you're gonna
stop.
Yeah, that's the point. And it's a legal thing. So you get to the point with certain things where it's like like alcohol is legal, but there's more deaths because of alcohol than there is from marijuana, and stuff like that. So we get to that point where it's like, you can't always just play the legal card. It's the, how do you use it and stuff. And that's one of the points that I'm trying to point out is
building the morality and helping people to kind of discern morality, because ultimately conscience takes precedent, but you have to have your conscience formed.
Right.
And so forming the conscience is really important. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're just sending out a bunch of people with no conscience and they just know how to say the right answer,
right,
it's not going to do them much good if they know how to say the right things. They can't do the right thing, right? So,
right. And most of our, and like one thing that we use about half of our confirmation 2 class. This is our year before they get confirmed, and it's all on morality and teaching things like that, and it's almost nothing with catechesis. So we're not really teaching them Catholic stuff. It's more like that should be done. We kind of do a little refresher towards the end, but all that stuff's more like you're saying. It's the morality parts is,
well, it's all Catholic thought. It's the way that we do that, the morality class, is it stems from a lot of philosophy and Catholic theology of like, what is morality, what is ethics, what does a decision actually look like, and how do we make informed decisions, and how do we actually look at actions and measure their moral weight. That's what we're doing, not just saying here's the 10 commandments, don't do these,
right?
Here you go.
Yeah, then you got to break those down too.
Yeah, we do,
because it's like thou shalt not kill. Well, I didn't kill anybody. Okay, cool. But then if you start going down into the nitty gritty where it's like, well, did you gossip about somebody? Did you ruin someone's reputation? That's kind of like killing them in pieces.
Did you call somebody an idiot, a raka?
All these kind of things. One time we had a priest, Father Mugaga, came up and did
that's great.
He did a thing where he was going over the 10 commandments and he broke it down to every little minute detail. So you're like, just breathing is sinning. Oh my goodness. Because they're like, don't commit adultery. I got that because I don't know any married chicks, so I'm not going to have sex with them, so I'm good. No. Guess what? Fornication's under that. So any sex. Oh, well, that's harder. Oh, guess what? And then sex with yourself. Oh, that's even harder. And then guess what? Lusting after people's bad. Oh, what? And then
Also, we forgot to ask if your podcast is PG. I don't know if this is supposed to be appropriate for children.
No,
I always put it under not for children and explicit just in
we
case.
don't. Yeah.
Okay,
it's
really
like,
quick. I did not do anything explicit.
But you were just talking about premarital sex and masturbation. I just want to make sure that
I
it's not
didn't
marked for
say
children.
those words.
Well,
I tried to
No.
use it nicer.
You guys are fine. You guys are good.
Because YouTube has particular parameters. I don't want them to get
I'm
in
just
trouble.
pointing it out.
well, pretty much on our podcast, we try and keep it PG, but just in case they ever want to try and get us for something, I always just in case put it as explicit and not for kids.
Yeah,
just
we
so if they ever
always
present you like, hey, this
have
wasn't for
the-
kids, why I didn't put it for kids.
I have said many worse things.
This is getting to the itty gritty of it.
the itty gritty.
Yeah, this is
The
Oh, I thought it was the
nitty-gritty.
nitty gritty.
Is it nitty
No,
gritty?
nitty gritty.
I thought it was itty gritty.
No,
Are you serious?
yeah.
No, it's itty bitty and nitty gritty.
Itty bitty spider. I think. Or
Itsy bitsy spider.
That's itsy bitsy. Yeah.
Itty bitty spider.
Itty
No.
bitty.
Are you guys serious? Oh, speaking of this is a great transition into our intermission.
Oh yeah.
For our intermission, we just kind of want to take it back up to a lighter note, and we're going to have a. Do we have a name for it?
We did have a name, but I don't know.
Slang game.
Yeah,
Slang game.
It's a slang game.
We are going to test you guys on some of the most modern and up-to-date slang terms.
Oh, crap.
She thought you would say
Yeah.
that. She's probably laughing right now. She's watching this. So.
Probably is.
Do you guys want to say anything? Because at this point, she's probably laughing right now.
Yeah.
So future
All-
Sophie.
Because she knows anytime I hear a slang, I put it in the group chat. It's like, what the heck does this mean? Somebody explain it to me.
So
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
At
some of
least
these
you
slang
work with
terms-
kids.
yeah. Well, we're all gonna learn some stuff tonight because we're looking at a list right now.
Yeah.
And I don't
We
know
don't
some
even
of
know.
it.
No, wait. You guys can't use slang you don't know.
No. He knows.
No, she wrote most.
No,
of
She
them.
knows
wrote
this stuff.
Yeah.
No,
And
but
we
you guys
know-
should know this.
But we do know some of this, but
Some.
we also don't.
You gotta remember, Sophie's super in it. Like
She's cool.
Sophie's
with
a
it.
cool
pop
kid.
culture legit. Like,
Yeah.
These two dudes aren't pop
Jeez.
culture legit.
We're not.
I guess
we're
not as
not
much as
definitely.
Sophie,
We're not
yeah.
claiming to be. So
Okay.
we're just
Shoot.
So let's just
We've
get
been
started. Let's just get started. Thank you
Alright.
guys for coming on to the slang game. All right. The first word, bussin. BUSSIN. Bussin.
Bussin'.
Thoughts?
Bussin'? I would say it's doing something fast. Like I'm busting it over there.
Okay, that's.
Or is that busting it? Like bust a move.
I think. No, I think we should. Are we going to take guesses right now, and then we could inform you guys on what?
David, you got something that's different?
No, I'm gonna go with the same thing because back in the day, if you were busting, you were getting out of there. You were leaving.
Like busting.
Unless you're busting dance moves with a
Right.
piece of cardboard.
You bust the move.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
So like that kind of busting.
Bussin'.
You
So
got it.
busting.
You
Final thoughts.
just bust
Bust-
a move.
So it's either dancing or leaving somewhere fast.
I think it's
Okay.
going fast.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
What is it?
Adrian, do you know what it is?
I don't know
Before I
what
say
it
it?
is.
Don't ask
All
me,
right.
guys. Just tell
Okay.
us.
All right. Bussin'. It means, according to an elite source, Urban Dictionary, what you would say if something was really good. Bussin'.
Oh,
That's bussin'. This pizza's
Bussin'.
bussin'.
this pizza
Yeah.
is bussin'.
An
This
example.
whiskey.
Yeah. Whiskey, bussin'.
This
An
whiskey's
example
bussin'.
they say is, I didn't know yo mama could cook this good. In response, yeah, her food be bussin'.
Her
Bussin'.
food Be bussin'.
Something you would say if it was really good. So that's our first term.
All right.
But that's how we're starting.
All right.
Okay.
So far,
Next
you guys
one.
are doing great.
Next.
0-0.
Is dope.
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 Yeah.
Dope used to be cool.
Yeah.
But before then, it used to be drugs.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Yep.
yeah, this one's a bit more.
That's easy
Yeah.
because that's from our era. We made
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
I remember when dope was dope.
Dope is
But it
dope.
was, yeah.
No, never
Now,
say
when my
dope's
parents
not
were
dope.
kids, they were dope. Dope was dope.
Back then, dope was dope. But
Dope.
now dope is
Now-
dope.
dope.
now
hey,
it's
he
just
got
dope.
busted for dope. Not bussin', but he
Not
got
bussin'.
busted.
That
He was
wasn't
busted.
busted. it was not busting. He got busted for doing dope.
All right.
Which was
next.
not
Dope. But then back in the day, they used to say this dope is bussin', though.
They sure did.
Oh, so they
Probably
actually
not
said
bussin'.
busting. Oh, so
No.
another terminology. Okay.
This
It's a
dope is
callback.
dope.
Right. So
This
you guys
busted-
were
this dope is dope.
you guys were on point. Yeah, saying something is cool, most heard in the big cities, or also a drug reference. But the first thing was saying that it's cool. So you
All right.
guys-
So first of all, we got both those.
yes, yeah.
Got 2
So I think that is 2 points. I think that's like I think
One and a
we're-
half at least.
We're definitely keeping
We're
count.
we're gonna put a ding like ding 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 ding, ding, which is like a double
good.
point. So yeah,
All right,
Okay.
next is cap.
cap.
Oh,
C
back in
A
the day.
P.
Well,
Back
back
in the day, you used to mean
day,
shoot
on
somebody.
the east side of town, that meant
Yeah.
Yeah, cap
Back on
someone
the
in
east
head.
side, if I was gonna bust a cap, I know exactly what that means because that's where I grew up.
and guess what? Guess where you usually busted a cap?
It's in some other Uranus area.
In your ass. I want those guys busting caps and asses.
You see what I have to edit out? Do you see
Yeah.
it? Do you see-
That's a, you put an explicit tag. I'm doing it.
Yeah, why not take advantage of explicit tech?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are kind of close. You explain it this time.
Cap?
Yeah.
I'd explain cap. Well, cap, I guess, is just
It
what
just
people
means
would
you're
say if
lying.
you're just kidding. You know,
If you're lying, you know,
like
that's
if you're just
cap.
capping with someone, you know, you're
That's
just
what
kidding with them.
people
you're just
say. Yo, that's cap.
You be capping on me.
Yes.
dude.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
means yo, you are.
yeah, I
lying
would have
on
taken that as a threat.
me. That's
You capping?
You
okay.
need me to bust a cap right now?
No, you be capping. I
Yeah.
am capping? I don't really.
You just
Yeah, are
square
you
up to him
capping?
real
I
quick.
When
ain't
people
strapped.
say that's cap, that means that's lying. Or
Oh,
you're
that's
capping,
cap.
like that's cap.
So
Or
when
that-
you listen to a guy talking, you're like that fool cap,
yeah, or he's capping, or that's cap.
capping.
Pretty
That's
much.
cap.
I
So
also remembered it being
yeah.
slang for a hat, or
That is true.
for a person of the rank of captain.
okay.
That is
Oh,
also
cap.
true.
Yeah. That's legit.
Ooh, we're open to
Urban Dictionary
suggestions,
doesn't even have that.
but yeah, okay, sweet. How many was that so far? So
Oh,
you guys, how
3.
many-
What do we
that's-
got? 12 of these?
yeah, we have a 55, so
Oh
we
my
can go on.
goodness.
I'm just kidding. No, we're not.
All right. Next
We're not going.
is high key and low key.
No, do
Oh,
one at a
man.
time. High key.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand.
No, you don't.
High key is extreme.
Mhm.
Like I feel like you're high key fronting at me right now. Like you're high key like attacking me right now.
Yeah, but most
I feel
of
like
your
it's all
shit
up in
is
my
low
face
key.
right now.
But your outfit is low key.
But your outfit.
Yeah.
I feel like you low key real smart, but you kind of come off dumb. You know, like
yeah.
that kind of
yeah. I think you
Yeah.
pretty much got it. Yeah,
they got it.
know.
yeah. Definition: it is the opposite of low key. Obviously, high key is more straight up, whereas low key is less definitive. So you guys, yeah.
I hear people using the low key as in like,
It's kinda
let's
down
keep this
low.
on the D.
Oh,
Oh, let me tell you, I remember when the down low became new
Oh yeah.
because my buddy's like, hey, we got to keep this on the DL. And my other friend and I are like, disabled list? Because like, we
disabled.
watch baseball and someone went on the DL. Because
Driver's license. I don't know.
So
Oh,
low
man.
key, down low. Keep it on the QP, PT, PQ. No, what is it?
Yeah,
And
you
P's and Q's.
you guys got it. You guys are. That's pretty much. See, she.
That's
had
all you
more-
got?
No,
No,
we
we
got
four
more for you.
Okay, give me
this is
another.
gonna be a challenge. All right,
Next is shook
Shook?
or shooketh.
or
Yeah.
shook, just
I
shook.
I thought
SHOOK. Shook.
shook
Go
used
ahead,
to
Neil.
be like you were frazzled or
Yeah.
Yeah, you shook.
Ooh.
Yep. Surprise.
Mhm. Yes.
Is that it?
Like
Exactly.
That's it.
Shocked or surprised.
that
AF.
shooketh me to the core.
To the
You're
quick.
gay? Who knew?
to the core. To the absolute core. I
Well,
was
that's the first example.
I have been shooketh. Yeah.
like old, like William Shakespeare.
You have
like,
high key shooketh me.
You bite,
down.
you bite your tongue at me.
Bite my thumb.
Oh yeah. you
Yes, I
your-
bite my thumb at you.
Oh, then you have shooketh me to the core.
I cap at you.
Yeah. this-
Right. Next
Oh,
is
That's
Capulets,
it.
Everybody dies. So.
that's
Uh,
that's it. You guys are right. So
let's
that's
see
like
here.
we're gonna give you guys
And
another bonus point. for this episode.
poggers.
I don't even.
What?
No, clap back.
Oh no, I accidentally moved them back, but yeah,
What?
poggers.
we're not doing clapback.
No, we are.
Okay. Poggers. Poggers. Poggers.
Poggers. I know what a pog is. Do you remember?
I know
pogs?
what a porg is.
A porg. Do you remember pogs from the '90s? The little thingies.
Ooh,
Little milk caps.
Yeah, they used to throw them on the ground and play games. It was almost like jacks or something like that, where you throw it on the ground
Or
and you're trying
marbles.
or marbles. Yeah, it was
One of
very
those
much like
surface
that.
games.
Yeah, but it was
He
these
said
little round
surface.
pogs.
One of
or
those
whatever.
surface games. Yeah, you know. So,
Yeah.
and I also know what a porg is.
Oh, good.
Star Wars
yeah.
reference.
Come on.
There you go.
Last
Star Wars
Jedi,
reference. Yeah, that should have been like the first one.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do that first? We should have done this.
I don't know.
one,
I just don't hear many people on the street saying, "Hey, porg."
Oh yeah,
know,
well, those,
porg.
yeah, that's porg, man. No, yeah, you guys got it right. I mean, epic word can be used for anything, or epic for the most part.
Oh, that's
You
not
know?
what I meant. But you
I
can
know,
give me points
but
for that
we're
if you
going to
want.
give you because the enthusiasm was there, so we're just going to give that one to you guys. I've never heard that one before, but apparently Adrian uses that like all the time. So
Right, for sure.
yeah,
Porg.
yeah. So that was Poggers.
All right, next is clapback.
Yeah,
Isn't that
That's
just
sass.
like attitude?
yeah.
You ain't give me no
Yeah.
clap back.
Well,
Smack
look
you
at
in
that clap
the
back.
face.
Like whenever somebody says
Plus the
something.
cap in you if you give me that clap back.
It's
Yeah,
a smart
that-
response to something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
final
that's-
one
that's it.
is simp.
Oh,
Okay, this is okay. Think before you answer.
Simple.
We have a lot of. Sophie is the one that
I know
we're having
what
a little
this
bit of a dispute between what this means.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a huge thing in the community right now. We're like,
The
what does
community.
simp mean? What's a simp? And
Simp,
we were
I thought was short for simple, meaning
Or
that like
simpleton.
when that girl walks by, she makes me. I'm a simp for that girl, right? I'm simple. Like I'm all
Oh,
shooketh
that's-
to the core
Ooh.
because of this girl, right?
Ooh,
That's
Nah,
the
that girl's
idea.
cap. She ain't real.
Oh, dang.
Her boobs are cap.
You guys are high key kind of capping right now.
Yeah, that's
Kind of shook it.
That girl was pretty low key.
I know. I just like straight up like I feel kind of from now on like when Sophie like reaches out to you guys, I feel like all she's gonna get are these words that we're using in the list tonight, which is like, hey, Sophie, what's capping? That sounds dope. Shooketh poggers clapback. Sounds
You're hanging
Yeah.
out with your porgs.
Yeah, let's all get simp.
yeah. I
Big
mean,
bussin', man.
so the
So wait, what's
definition.
simp?
Simp. So it says, and what we know it as someone who does way too much for a person they like.
Oh, so you were simping on that girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. That would be like
What was a simp?
what was it back in the day? You're whipped. Whipped was.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
we used to
The
say.
word with-
You no, we used to say other whips too,
Yeah, we used to.
because you were pee whipped.
Okay, so next time you guys should quiz us on those things. We have no
Old
idea
school
what that is.
slang.
Yeah,
Old school slang.
Yeah, we love yeah, that's what
hilarious.
simp
But,
is.
yeah.
And then she said her version of simp was like I think emotional or like crying or something,
Something
like
like
that.
Oh,
Because you're showing sympathy.
Is that what it?
Wait,
I got
but
so
simp
much
is
simp.
SIMP, like squirrels in my pants. That's not.
Yeah.
There's no Y in there. Sympathy would be a Y.
Hey, shut up.
You got the buzzer first. It's turn to talk.
and that's that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our intermission. Hope you guys that are watching, hope you guys enjoyed that. David and Neil, hopefully we were able to teach you some of the slang of our generation today. So next time you guys are talking to anybody, just use any of these words. They will guarantee to be put you on the A list.
I already forgot what most of them mean.
We'll email you. We'll send them to you guys. We'll write it down. We'll make a Quizlet.
Right.
We'll make a Quizlet study guide for you guys.
But
So-
we don't want to keep you guys here
Yes, got
forever,
that.
but we do have one more question that we thought you guys could maybe elaborate on us. And that was, what has having kids taught you?
Oh fuck. I think the main thing. David.
That's why we saved it for last.
Why there's just too many insightful lessons about
No, I think the biggest thing is like most of your life you're the most important person. And you know, you have your friends that you care about, girlfriends and your family and everything like that. And then when you get married, it's like now we're a us. And you don't think of it as we're two people. It's like we're one group. Because I noticed that like after Lisa and I got together, I stopped saying me and started saying we for so many things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And because it was kind of like, we will figure this out. We are one cohesive thing. And then I think once you get kids, it's kind of like, oh my God, everything I used to like, I don't get to do anymore. And it's like, I mean, I know it sounds terrible, but it's like your priorities totally shift. I mean, you got to keep things like work and stuff like that, but it's just like all your selfishness kind of goes away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
By force.
You just roll with the punches.
It just gets taken from you.
Yeah, so I think that's the main thing is because like even when when you're in a relationship, you get a lot more free time to yourself. When you have kids, a lot of it revolves around what are you doing with the kids? And then like I know David, you and GV do the date nights where they have to schedule a certain night that's like this is our time. But even more importantly, I think you need to schedule your time too. And that's what's funny is because right now with you guys, I mean, I'm assuming from when I was your age, it's like, hey, all this time is my time. You know, yes, I got to go to work, and yes, I might have to go to class, and yes, I might have to help mom with stuff.
Right, but compared to what you guys have that's like nothing compared to what you guys have.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, you know, like my day is mostly like I go to work. Oh, first I got to get up and, you know, I have to get dressed and ready, and my wife gets dressed and ready, and then she gets the kids stuff ready, and then I get the kids dressed, and then it's all that stuff, you know, where if it was just me going to work, I'd get up, you know, I get up in 15 minutes, I'm dressed and out the door, and 10 minutes later I'm at work, you know, boom. But now it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour thing, getting the dang kids ready and then doing things with my wife, trying to get them ready. And then you go to work all day, then you come home and then you play with the kids a little bit, you get dinner, then it's like a 5-hour process getting them into bed, as you saw. No, but not to that point. But then you got to do that whole thing, and then boom, then you're done. And then maybe you and your wife can have a little bit of free time to watch a TV show together, and then maybe you can read a comic book on your iPad before you fall asleep. You know, so it's those kind of things. And then you got to. So in a sense, your whole day is almost taken up. So your free time is like being able to look at your phone when you're in the bathroom.
Yeah,
I mean, not to go too far, but I mean that's kind of like how it is, I guess. It's, you know, that's the big thing. But I mean, they bring so much joy and love, and it's just like, you know, we call our son the Sour Patch Kid because you've seen those commercials.
First they're sour, then they're sweet.
Yes, because he's such an asshole sometimes.
Wait, was the same one that walked in earlier?
Yes. And I'm just, you're this close to slapping him.
Wait, the one who's gonna watch this in a few years?
Yeah, no, this is your show. He's not watching this.
Oh, right. Unless we become intentionally friends with him. Like, hey, we have a special episode. Right?
Yeah. No, but it's true.
The episode Daddy didn't want you to see.
Oh, I'll tell him. But Lisa would call him Patch because of the Sour Patch. So he's so mean, and he fights us on certain things, and he'd be like, you know, you'd be like, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to put you in the corner. You're not putting me in the corner. I'll put you in the corner. I'm going to beat you and I'll do the blah, blah. And then he's so mean and jerky. And then like 2 minutes later, once it comes down, he's like, Mommy, you're my favorite. I love you so much. Daddy, why you hang out with me forever? You and I are best friends. And it's like, where'd this sweetness come from?
It's beautiful.
And that's the part that like kind of eats you up. And then, you know, and then there's so much of me just knowing how I was as a kid or something. So you're like, oh God, I gotta love this while it is, because he's gonna turn 13 and be like, Dad, you could drop me off here. I don't want any of my friends to see you.
Right.
The flips, right?
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy it while it's there, sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Mm.
So sometimes that's the thing, and then that's the deal. So I mean, I don't even remember what the original question was, but
What did your kids teach you?
what did they teach me?
What did you learn about having children?
Oh yeah, it's just I don't know. You kind of not become yourself as much, pretty much, and then you kind of turn into dad and a more selfless individual, and you can. It's at a point where you can't afford to be too selfish, and then because if you are, those are the poor kids who are who get left aside, and that's when you're finding the people who are like robbing liquor stores and stuff are probably because they didn't have good parents and stuff.
Right. So you're trying to raise someone who knows what's up, and part of that is just making the time for them and kind of sacrificing the time for their benefit.
If I'm just I don't know too, because I don't remember how my father was when I was 3 as much. But I mean, I know there were a lot of times where he wasn't around or something. I mean, he traveled and stuff. But I mean, also, it's just I'm also older. So, I'm of a generation where it's like your parents wouldn't be as involved with you as they became in like the 90s and 2000s and then so forth. So now I'm in this phase where it's like, oh, you're the dad. So you got to do all this crap. And you got to let everybody kind of walk all over you for a little bit. And I'm thinking, God, back in the day, the dad would just say, hey, shut up, I'm reading the paper. And everybody would do that.
Dude, now it's just completely warped now.
It's kind of backwards. But I mean, they probably didn't get as much out of it. And those guys used to die a lot younger. So maybe that's good.
Yeah. Now you guys are here rocking it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, sweet.
What about you, David?
So I'm just going to ring in a little bit on and agree in some aspects with Neil there about like just the busyness of life. So I've always said I've worked with alongside and with Gen Xers, millennials, and now your guys' generation, the Gen Z, or whatever the heck they're going to end up calling you guys in the books later.
The Zoomers.
Yeah, I know, right? That'd be terrible, wouldn't that?
Oh, I love Zoomers.
I sure hope not. But yeah, I hope this doesn't define that. But of all the generations I've worked with or alongside, you guys have been the most busy generation. It seemed like everything you guys had to do was like, you have to be a part of every club. You have to have these particular types of grades. You have to have all these activities constantly thrown at you or whatever, right? Like you constantly in things since you're like 5 or 6 years old, right?
Right.
So you're busy, but your busy is different. It's of a different flavor because Neil's right. It's the busy that you pick is the busy that you pick at this age. You guys have young adults now. It's all, I chose to get a job. I might need a job, but I also chose not to work at McDonald's, or whatever it happens to be. It's fine to work at McDonald's if you're working at McDonald's.
No offense, McDonald's, if you want to sponsor.
We're just reaching for sponsorship at this point.
Right. You choose your busyness of like, I'm going to create this podcast and with my friend, and we're going to stay up till whatever hours of the night making these things or whatever. You choose the type of busy you have. Whenever you have a wife and you have children, you don't get to choose that busy anymore.
As much.
Right. Because like Neil says, is like, I have a responsibility to the kids that they have their own lives and their own things that they cannot do apart from me. Mm-hmm. And so they need breakfast. Oh, guess what? I got to make them breakfast. Yeah. Right. It's, and I don't eat breakfast. That doesn't matter to them.
I don't care. Give me my breakfast.
So that's cool.
I might be good with a cup of coffee in the morning. They might want red velvet pancakes, right?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's like
it's bougie.
It is bougie. My family bougie, but it's a different kind of busy because it's not a busy that you always choose, but you did choose to have them. So you love them. But the biggest thing that I learned from them is probably how ugly I am. Not because my kids are ugly, because my kids are gorgeous, but, but how ugly I am in like, whenever I see personality traits appear from them that I know is directly from me. Like whenever my son Joel will say something very spitefully arrogant, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's my phrase. Or that's something that would have come out of my mouth, except for he is 8 and doesn't know anything. Oh, wait, I'm 38 and I don't know anything, and yet I still say this stuff, right? And so it's that realization of your kids are going to show you the ugliest parts of yourself, which is good because A, you can beat it out of them, and then B,
there's always option A.
No, but
That's what I always hope for. At least it tells me no.
Yeah, Neil was like, I'm just waiting for that confirmation. Now we're on the same page. That we have the same option A. Right?
No,
I'm just waiting for her to give me the.
No, don't beat your children.
Just be like,
No,
hey,
it shows you because they're gonna take the parts of your personality, whatever parts they happen to be, and it's just amplified. It's exaggerated. It's a caricature because they're being funny kids or whatever, or they're seeing something and they want to be like you, and they want to do that in a dramatic way. And so my son will take some of these things that he sees me say, or these senses that he gets from me, and it humbles me to say, like, I need to back that up. I can't be the guy that knows everything all the time. You know, I need to humble myself, even if I do know the thing, you know, and maybe not always give the answer or always give the snide remark when somebody doesn't know the answer. That's not okay. And so it's kind of like that check. And then my daughter can just she has a way of just making me realize what's really important, or how stupid I can be sometimes, because rather than emulating me, she'll just point out the stupid stuff. Like, I'll give you example. Have you guys seen the movie The Star with the it's about the birth of Jesus, but it's from the animal's perspective. Like the little donkey goes on a trip.
Oh, the animation one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that?
I've seen it when it came
I know
out
what you're
with my
talking
brothers.
about, but I haven't watched it.
Well, it follows this donkey or whatever, and he's Mary and Joseph's donkey and all that stuff. And
Like Small One.
yeah, like Small One, except it's definitely a ripoff of Small One.
Yeah,
And,
sorry, that's from the 70s.
but it's still a ripoff. And so the donkey is named Boaz, which is cute. And then so they call him Bo, and he's following Mary and Joseph. And there comes this point where like this bad guy is trying to find Mary and kill her and all that stuff. And the donkey knows the story because the donkey knows for whatever reason. And so the donkey is trying to warn Mary and Joseph, but Mary and Joseph don't speak donkey. So obviously the donkey's got to try to act it out, right? Mm-hmm. And so the donkey, like, he's being all gruff and mean or whatever. And the donkey, you can understand the donkey because, of course, you're the child watching the movie. He says, "My name's Joseph, and I'm grumpy. You know, I'm in a bad mood or whatever." Right? And Joseph's like, "Is that supposed to be mean?" All right. And then so as we're getting ready for bed, which, like Neil had said, is a nightmare. Getting ready for bed with 3 children or any amount of children is always difficult. And so as we're trying to get ready for bed and all this stuff, and I'm like in a bad mood and I'm fussing with the kids because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing or whatever. Gemma, my youngest, she gets up and she starts doing that strut that the donkey did on the movie. He says, "My name is Papa and I'm in a bad mood." And everybody just starts laughing. And I realize that this is all right. It's not that as serious as I'm making this out to be. We'll eventually get to bed or whatever. And so that's really the biggest thing that the kids have taught me is humility, is this idea that, hey, you don't know everything. Everything's not as serious as you make it out to be. You need to slow your roll.
I'm sure patience as well too. I mean, that must take a great deal of patience
Oh
when you're dealing with kids all the time.
That's the thing.
Neil just hopped on that point.
Neil has taught me patience.
It was not the kids. It was your co-host.
No, but honestly, like that's the thing too. Because I mean, I didn't have our first kid till I was 38. And if I had a kid at 23, I would have zero patience. And I probably would have like thrown a chair through a window or something. because back then I was a lot more angry of a person. But it's just like certain things like that. And I can realize looking back on my dad having me and me having Robert, there's a 15-year difference because my dad was 23 roughly. So it was just like I could see things that he did to me and how I wouldn't do that to Robert because of my age. And then when I had Robert at this advanced age, the geriatric age, but
you are at risk for another pregnancy.
Whoa. There are no more pregnancies. That's the plan. And remember, I am in full control of if we have kids.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have sex.
I
could live with that.
That's a bold statement, my friend.
I didn't have sex for a long time. I could do it again.
I can do it again. I can hold out, woman. I can hold out.
Don't tempt me.
Just to let you know, when you get older, you get tired and you kind of fall asleep at the end of the day. So, but then what's funny is my dad told me a story about my Uncle Mark, and my Uncle Mark was a lot older than my dad, but he had two girls, who were 4 years apart when he was much younger. And then he had my cousin Matt, went 8 years after the second girl. So in those 8 years, that's a big gap. I assume Matt was like, oh my goodness, we had another kid.
Right.
I didn't plan on this, but so it's 8 years later, and he was pointing out to my dad, when my dad was a lot younger and stuff, like on how much better he was as a parent with Matthew than he was with Karen and Linda, because when they were kids, he was younger. And then when Matt was a kid, he's already, not only is he older, more mature, and more patient, but he's also more experienced because he's already had to deal with the girls, and he had to deal with those two girls. So I mean, he had to learn a lot. But that was kind of a thing. So it's like, I feel like I already have a lot more patience because of my age and experience. But the kids really drive it in you, where it's like when you just be like, I need you all to shut up now, you kind of give it a second or something. And then there's sometimes where it's like you have to be like, hey, come here, do this, do that, whatever. And then Lisa's like, hey, wait 30 seconds. Now say come here again. And then it's like, oh, okay. So there's something with, I don't know if you have this, David, but it's like sometimes it's like, I got to do that. We got to do like a reset. Because it's like if you keep hitting Robert with do this, do that, whatever, he's fighting you or he's not listening. And then you just like kind of like, okay, let me go over here for a second. Now I'm going to come back. Hey, can you do this? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't do it at all. Like it's like if you hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works. I don't know why.
Sure it does. Like statistically, 80% of what a parent says to a kid is directive. Go and do this, go pick up that, go and and so the reset is necessary, whether it's time or whether it's rather than directive, doing something that's more of like just something that your kid enjoys. Or one big thing that we learned in all of my, well, Gemma accepted, my two boys were both NICU babies, which means they were in the NICU for a prolonged period whenever they were first born or whatever. But the big thing that we learned from them was cranky babies get a bath. And that's a big way to reset a kid. Even now, like if Joel or Isaac is in a bad mood or whatever, I'll be like, go take a shower. Go take a shower.
I think I threw Robert in the shower once.
Yeah, and it works.
Like League of Their Own.
But you know what? It works for me too. Like, I'm like, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower and I'll be in a better mood.
Just emerge a whole new person.
Yeah. It's almost like there's something to these waters of baptism. I don't even know.
It's like it's holy water, like in my shower. It feels much better.
David actually has holy water in his shower. That's how cool he is.
I heard about that. I heard just that's
Sophie
pretty
told
cool.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of cool stuff in Nevada that
Well, no, I don't have it in my shower.
So you don't have it either.
No. Look at me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
I can
guess
definitely tell by looking at people whether or not they have holy water.
Yeah, come on. I'm like the devil on the shoulder where David's the angel on the shoulder.
just the right here speaking.
Constantly at it.
Sweet. Well, it's we just wanted to say, like, as we kind of come to this time, that it was really, again, like, we're really grateful for you guys to be able to come on here, and we're excited to speak more about this with you guys next week. It was,
do you want to go over the verse of the day, or?
Oh, do you want to do it over the rest of the day?
I do.
At the end of each of our episodes, before it gets too far into it, I guess we kind of already past that point, but we like to do a Bible verse of the day, and kind of just something for people to munch on. But yeah, we want to do that right now since you already have it.
Yeah, just something to think on, I guess.
Okay.
So this is Isaiah 51:6. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. That's Isaiah 51:6.
Seems very permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems.
So I don't know if there's anything that you guys want to, I don't know, maybe talk about that, or if there's any. I mean, if you guys don't want to say anything about that, that's fine.
That's true. It's just about us. They're here.
Yeah, David not say something about scripture.
Hold on, I already forgot which Bible verse it was. Let me grab my Bible.
Yeah.
It's Isaiah.
Yeah, Isaiah 51:6. That's what
I should know that by now.
Isaiah is 66 chapters, dude. I don't know all of them.
You don't know all of them. Okay.
All right, hold up. Isaiah 51. There we are.
Yeah.
Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look at you said 51, yeah? Verse 6?
Verse 6, yes.
Oh, I see. The end of verse 6. Look at the earth breath. For the heavens will vanish like smoke. The earth will wear out like a garment, and those who dwell will die like gnats. But my salvation will be forever, and my deliverance will be never ended. That's the second book of Isaiah. Well, the second book of Isaiah, if you're breaking them up in books or whatever.
Right.
They're using a Protestant Bible.
They still break.
I'm just kidding. Dang.
Yeah, actually, mine's over there. We could double check if it's spell shooting.
Yeah.
No. That's good.
So yeah, that's our verse of the day. We usually just like to do that. So just in case we didn't touch anything too biblical, we at least kind of plant a seed or give someone to latch onto, something to think about at the end of it. So I mean, if they ever want to look in further, I guess just something that for them to latch onto.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on and talking to us on this podcast. We really appreciate it.
We will have again next. Is it the same time next week, roughly?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, on their podcast.
Yes.
Which will link
Among
everything
Wolves.
down below. Among Wolves, which is a super cool name. Well, we haven't thought about that, but that's weird.
Yeah. we ripped off the
Yeah, we did.
podcast Catching Foxes.
Catching Foxes is a way better podcast than ours. But
you guys got the.
But you have
got
the cooler
Wolves.
name.
You guys got.
Right.
Wolves.
We
but
got
they're things. So I was like, oh, we should come up with like Catching Wolves or
Catching
something
Wolves.
like that as a total ripoff.
No,
And
and
then
I
we
just-
came
Go
up
ahead.
with the Sheep Among Wolves.
Yep. Send you out like sheep
Ooh.
among wolves. And so we said among wolves. That's the name because
And our
that works
logo
out.
is Mike
But the sheep.
with the sheep.
Yeah.
Mike that
Oh.
looks like a sheep.
Yeah. Because you've seen like have you ever seen what a wolf can do in a flock of sheep? A wolf's going to do some serious damage, right?
Yeah, it's not
In a
pretty.
flock of, yeah. But now imagine the other way, a sheep among wolves, a sheep in the midst of wolves. And that's a Christian life.
Yeah, that's the Christian's place in the world, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. To be a sheep among wolves. And so that's very much our podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's good.
That's
That's what I'm saying. The title works.
Yeah.
Dang,
How do you guys
okay.
pick your verse of the day? Or is this something we should ask on our podcast? Sorry, I'm jumping all
No,
kinds of
no.
ways.
That's so we sometimes it's when we do have an idea or like a theme, like the Art of Letting Go. We usually try to do like a Bible verse on like giving or something around that field. But when it's kind of more loose and has like nothing like with the pickup lines,
it'll probably be just like whatever book we're reading at the time,
just
something
whatever
that stood out to us or something like that.
Yeah, but for when we can, we try to do when it relates to the topic. But other than that, it's just whatever comes. Yeah,
as the wise man said, it is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
cool.
probably. I was gonna say that's in the Bible, but I'm not gonna misquote the Bible. No.
In the book of Second Hesitations, it was,
said most definitely.
That was good.
I'm sorry.
Snap.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We really.
I think he's capping.
I'm capping hard.
That was dude. That's like
low key.
Low key capping
that's
right
like a
now.
cap,
Guys,
right?
you guys are kind of shook with me right now.
Dude,
Do you have any other questions or anything?
No, I think that was
sign
it, right?
off?
Oh,
I think that's. I mean, we're gonna have when we're trying to talk on your guys' podcast for sure. So,
Mhm.
I mean,
So
this is not the
that's
end.
gonna be fun. Ooh, we're gonna be on another podcast.
Legit.
Oh my god!
And I guess just so people kind of know what we're going to be talking about on your guys' podcast, it's Catholic misconceptions, I believe, is what
Oh
you guys
yeah,
want to
yeah.
talk about. So
I don't know why we have pre-production meetings at all.
Right.
yeah,
Just go with it, right? Like, why not?
Well, come on. I remember some of them.
We have time to kind of formulate something.
this is true.
Right? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we got this. Don't worry. We'll come in. You guys will have no idea that we have no idea what we're talking about. Because we do.
For sure.
Definitely.
Great.
We
Let's
definitely
do
do. Let's do it. Yeah. I like that. Okay. David, Neil, thank you guys so much again for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us. It was really cool of you guys to take time out of your night. So what day is it? Wednesday. On a Wednesday, middle
St.
of the week.
Patrick's Day.
St.
St. Patrick's Day, a holiday.
Yay.
If you guys want to check out their podcast, check it out. It's gonna all as usual. Everything's gonna be down below. It's on Spotify.
Among Wolves.
Among Wolves with David and Neil, the one and only. But until next time, till next week.
Mhm.
You want to finish it off, Adrian?
Oh, you opened it.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I did open it. Till next week. This is Adrian and Christian and David and Neil signing off, saying we'll see you guys next week on Among Wolves when we talk about more stuff. Okay. Hey, everybody. Wait.
This is how we
Okay.
become successful.
That was our. Wait, I wasn't looking at them. That was our.
Oh, yeah, right
that was
there. It's right
exciting.
there.
Hey, no, that's too exciting. Hey guys, that was. Yeah, we're not talking loud enough. Hey guys. Oh, there's a long pause. Okay. Ready, set.
Ooh,
That
action.
was our. Okay. Okay. Hey guys. No,
just the audio of that.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
we're just having a conversation right
Yeah.
now. That was no. I don't want to say that. Hey, no. What did I say? What's the first word I should say?
What it do?
What to do, guys? That was our interview with David and Neil from
After all.
Among Wolves. We're just that was our interview. David, Neil, thank you guys again so much for having us on, or for allowing the time, taking time out of your day,
Yes.
especially on Wednesday in the middle of the day, middle of the week.
And St. Patrick's Day.
And St. Patrick's Day, to take that holiday off to make time for us. We really appreciate it. And the insights and advice that you guys gave us, it was really
Also, your stories are really fun.
your stories, the advice, things that we will not take for granted, and things that we'll definitely learn to what's the word starts with an I? Well,
Integrate.
integrate in our future episodes. But again, thank you guys so much for agreeing to come on with us, and thank you again, Sophie, for reaching out to us to let them reach out to us as well.
Yeah, I think we had it was definitely an interesting experience talking to them because of the I guess the difference of perspective that we kind of have on
because they're
both sides.
older.
The
they got
older
kids.
Catholic, we're young Christian, so it was just like
Yeah.
kind of this difference of worldview, but we were still able to kind of join and talk about
Yeah,
kind of very similar topics. So it was really great. I think was a pretty good episode. So,
it was probably the best episode.
yeah. Don't even watch the first season. Just watch this.
Yeah, just watch that one and you'll be fine. Next week, we're going to be on their podcast, Among Wolves.
Yes.
Check that out.
Which will be that'll be audio
The
on
link-
Spotify. Probably,
Yeah, it'll just
so,
only be on Spotify.
Yeah.
So check that out. We're going to be on there next week. And
If you want to see us on another
if you
podcast
wanna-
episode,
if you want to
that's-
listen to us on another podcast
Ah.
on Spotify, it'll be down there. But
bless
other than
your
that,
ears.
that is all I got to say. Adrian,
Yes,
finish it off.
I'm trying to, bro. Thank you guys for watching another episode of the Art of Awesomeness podcast. We will see you again on episode. Dang, we're running through
Episode
these.
23.
No, 4.
Oh, okay. Episode 24.
We don't even know our own
We'll see you guys
episode
next time on Art of Awesomeness podcast.
See you guys.